I like Satisfactory's trains as much as the next guy, but riding on top of them doesn't come without its perils. In fact, if you like running your trains through tunnels or through the woods, these things are practically death traps. If the roots aren't knocking you about, then the poison's getting you. And if it's not just the poison, and say, I don't know, you're trying to take out revenge on all those roots, then a rock could just come out of nowhere and ruin your day anyway. Or ever get caught out somewhere you didn't want to be and needed a train handy? I may have a solution for you. And you can use the same method to call supplies to wherever you need. I'll also show you how to set up passenger trains that automatically go to stations by changing the switches and driving to the correct location without any user input and without any of the perils of standing on top of the train. And as a bonus, I can show you how to make a runaway train, which is both really cool and can also follow you anywhere you go on a map automatically. Hey guys, welcome to my base in Satisfactory. Here, actually, I'll give you a little preview of it. It is, largely spaghetti, and so that's my mega factory over there where I've got my supply house. I'm making mostly iron stuff. And then this was my very first factory. Obviously, it's kind of mostly dismantled. I make motors and stuff over there, which I have to rebuild for turbo motors. And then going that way, I've got copper and a little power plant, and I got my power tree off in the background and supercomputers. So it's a pretty big factory. And of course, I've got factories off in the distance making my crystal oscillators and things like that. So, because I started building these factories all over the map, in addition to my mega factory, I need trains. A mega factory needs a lot of supplies, and the smaller factories, my little trucks and tractors love driving off of cliffs and into lakes, and seemingly run out of gas for no reason. Like they hit a weed in the grass and get stuck and then run out of gasoline and just die. So, trains. They are very, very cool. I'm going to teach you how to set up a remote control supply train, as well as actually making a train that you can ride inside of as a passenger, not just standing on top of or like on one of the freight cars where you can get knocked off by a branch or poisoned or clipped by a rock in a cave or something like that, but actually inside the train and be able to control where you're going. You can't change the switches, but you can change the timetable schedule and actually direct what station that the train automatically drives to. And then finally, I've got a tip for the runaway train, which is both cool, terrifying, and maybe even useful. So let's get right to it. So I'm going to drop down to this station over here, which I called the separate loop station, and demonstrate that I can call these trains from their garages. Let's say I'm at a remote work site, building a tree factory off in the distance over there or something like that. And I've got some track that comes in that general direction. I set up a temporary station where I can just get some supplies to continue building. And I can go into the station, select the timetable. I can see my two trains that are attached to this particular track that this station's on. So you're not going to see my other trains you can see them clearly off in the distance zooming around. And I can take my trains. It tells me that it's in garage number 1, and I can tell it to go get me encased beams. And in this case, as soon as I close this, you can hear the train off in the background moving. I'll go ahead and get the second one going too. I'll take the 2 freight train and tell it to go get me some track building supplies. Close these out. You'll see my other train taking off. And both of these trains will be able to load in this joined station. Now, the join station is exactly what you would think. It's two stations. You can see my encased beam platform here, and the track supplies platform. Track supplies, obviously, you need steel pipes and steel beams. So this train has two freight cars on it, and my encased beams platform, that train just has the one. So what we're going to see, and I forgot to set that one to load, I'll have to go and fix that, is that this actually works just fine. And the trains will self-load. Now, why not just create one giant train for this? Well, as soon as you create one big train, now you've got a logistical nightmare. You've got every single station has to either accommodate your giant train or tolerate it, meaning you can have a train that's longer than the platform you're stopping at, but you'll only be able to access the first few cars. And then the longer your trains get, and then the more likely that when they go over these switches, and of course if another train comes by while one of your trains is going over a switch, your train gets split. And that's a real nightmare. And then that's when you end up with like ghost cars going in different directions, getting stuck in your stations and stuff like that. So longer trains, bad. Short trains, good. So anyway, I don't even need to be at this station, although I should have set this to load. Oh, it is set to load. That's a bad thing. Well, so I guess it's a little buggy, just like everything else. And I go to my remote station over here. Whoops, I missed it. And I tell it, alright, my track supplies come to my remote station over here. And it'll come and bring me my supplies. Now, I don't need to set up some freight platforms because, I'll be able to just access the train cars once it gets here and, get the supplies that I need out of it. And can always send it back to resupply or just send it back to its garage once I'm done. Let's see if I can fix that other train. I think it's because they arrived in that station at the same time. I'll have to play around with that a little bit more, but in general it works. So let's see if we can't get that one to work eventually too. So here comes my train with the track building supplies. And like I said, you can just access the supplies. You don't even have to wait for it to stop. And then when you're all done, you can send it back to the garage and get it out of the way. So you go over there, and let's see if we can get the encased beams train to actually work. I suspect it has to do with the fact that both trains arrived in that station at the same time. So we'll see if we get that one to work. So what essentially you can do with this is set up stations all over your map for all of your different supplies, have a bunch of trains just ready and waiting in garages, and as you need things, like if I needed encased beams, I could just call one of my trains to go pick up beams and bring them right to me wherever I'm at. Let's see if that fixed this. Yeah, there we go. It was just a little bugged. I think it was because both trains arrived at the platform at the same time. But we got it working. So, that is the remote-controlled trains. Now, let me get that train out of the way. Let's send you to your garage. And I am going to show you how to make a passenger train that you can control. It's really simple. We take an engine. Because when my truck's over the ramp, that is so cool. I will never fix that because that is too cool. And just, the normal case is you can have a schedule set up with one of your engines, and if I hop out, you'll see it wants to go, but as soon as you get in, the schedule dies, and you have manual control of the train. And actually, that reminds me right there, I'm holding the parking brake right now. That's the space bar. It's a normal key, it's nothing special, but I find that handy. I was always trying to stop the train by either reversing direction, which can get really tricky if the train is rolling in the wrong direction, but it's handy that you can always just hit the space bar. So anyway, the schedule is set up for the separate loop, which is the station right in front of me. I'm going to hop out. That train will go to this station and stop. In the meantime, I'm going to add another engine going in the opposite direction. That's strange. That's new. Well, let's try that again. Let's delete the schedule. And let's put the schedule back on. And there we go. Now it's happy. Okay, so now, just as before, you can keep this train in a garage somewhere. I'm going to call it Zippy Choo. I'm going to hop out. It'll resume the schedule and park itself back at this station. Now, that's not what I wanted to show you. What I wanted to show you is you can get in this back engine. Now, I'm facing the wrong direction. I'm going to call this the caboose. And from here, you can see I'm in it, but we're not rolling backwards. Why not? The brake's still on. It's because the schedule is still working. The head engine is the one that's following the schedule. And because it's following the schedule, it stopped at the only station that I put on the schedule, and we are locked in place. Now from back here, at least at the moment, because I cannot control the train. I'm hitting forward and backward is doing nothing. What I can do is bring up the schedule. We are currently at the separate loop station. I'm going to change it to the track supply station. As soon as you close it, brakes come off, train accelerates. We are inside, not riding on top of the train, so you're not going to get knocked off by branches or poisoned by those farting rock things. I hate those things. Wish we could blow them up. Hopefully we get better explosives or something in the future. And we are going to the encased beam station. Or the track supply station. Whichever one I said. And we will stop. Now if there was a freight car, it will load. And so, because I'm making this essentially my passenger train, I'm not going to put a freight car on it. So now I can safely stop at any station without screwing up my supply chain. And from here, you can pick any of your stations, and it will switch all of the track splitters, to the right path. I can clip right through this train without getting knocked out, just like if you were in the engine train. And it is fully automatic. The other thing you can do is, you can set up multiple, but I'll even show you that if I change it mid-route, I think it's because this train's already slowing down for this station, but in general, it'll keep going to the station that you originally told it to go to. I think sometimes when you jump out, it can slam on the brakes in like reverse directions and stuff, but at least when you're using it as a passenger train, it will finish the first thing on your schedule. Now, if you want to cancel that, you can delete it first. And now the train will just kind of drift. You gonna make a liar out of me, train? Separate loop. Let's see if it passes through garage 1. Oh, there we go. There's our answer. Yeah, it's always going to stop. At the previous station. We're going to do a little clipping here. So now, that is riding in a train as a passenger and being able to control it. I'm going to check on my recording here. I've been having problems. It says it's recording, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay, so now let me show you the runaway train. I'm going to hop out of the rear caboose and get into the front engine of the train. Now, I am manually controlling the train now, because I've deleted the schedule. I'm going to accelerate. I'm going to accelerate to full speed for maximum craziness. And while I'm holding accelerate forward, get to a safe spot over here, I'm going to jump out. So I just did that while holding W for forward for accelerate. I jumped out of that train. That train now will run forever. It will not stop at any station, slow down for anything, except for autosaves. And just in general, look menacing and chaotic. Now here's one thing I've not tried, is trying to slow it down a little bit. Oops. I think it just accelerates to full speed. Let's see if we can do a nice slow speed. Hit the brakes here. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, I wasn't holding accelerate when I jumped out. So let's try that again. Hold accelerate. Yeah, it just goes to full speed each time. So there you go. You just got a runaway train. And I think they look freaking cool. And they don't slow down for stations, so now you get wherever you're at, which is probably where the stations are, you get to see them come through with glowing red engines instead of constantly hitting the brakes. So I think that's a pretty cool trick. And yes, I've tried removing the power supply and just having it go in loops and stuff like that. It doesn't work. It will, if you remove the power, it does stop. So we'll just let that go. Actually, maybe I can stop it from here. Yeah, why don't you go to a station? So yeah, that's the other thing. So now I've got this taxi train, but you can still call it to whatever station you want. And it just kind of resumes operation like normal. Now, besides being cool, that can actually be pretty useful. So I built another station over here, which I guess after it runs out of cool station names, it just calls them numbers. So we got station number Lucky 13 here. And I'm going to set up a new engine. I'm taking uphill here. And so we already know that as soon as you hop out of an engine, it likes to roll downhill. And let's say I'm trying to set up track going up this hill, and maybe I even have a car full of supplies attached to it. Maybe even, you know, track building supplies, for example. But I'm going to get in this engine, I'm going to back it up, give myself a little running start here. I'm going to accelerate at full speed and then jump out just like before. There we go. Now, is this train stopped? No, it is not. Let me demonstrate. Yeah. That was not momentum, folks. That was the train accelerating. And yes, it is as cool as you think. I just clicked that track so I can have control of it while I'm riding it cowboy style. And it's a little wonky because of the turning. But if you slow down, it will wait for you and re-accelerate. And this is as stupid and satisfying and fun as you can imagine. I probably missed the track here. Yeah, so that was totally my fault. Let's see if I can connect them. Nope. Let's try that again. And that is the runaway train. So now when you go off on those remote adventures and you want to bring a train full of supplies with you and you don't want to keep running back and forth to make the train go forward, that's what you can do. And yeah, it just does it forever. I mean, even straight uphill. It's ridiculous, and I love it. So, whoa, that was close. That's a shame. We'll fix that. That's in progress. That's going to be part of my turbo motor factory. And so that is passenger train, runaway train, and remote control supply train. One of the nice things about being able to actually ride in the passenger train, like I said, is not being clipped by rocks or poisoned or knocked off by branches. So I'll probably end this video with a little, I don't know, montage or video of me going through some of the tunnels that I've built for my train. And maybe in a different video I'll show you some different parts of my factory, because I have built some kind of cool things in here. It's not all just spaghetti. So I will shut up for now and hope you enjoy.